Hey everyone, it's Friday, June 6th. Let's talk PlayStation. Alright, so let's get into our first news story. Sony will be discontinuing the PSP, or that good old PlayStation Portable. They're ceasing production in Japan, and later on this year they will be ceasing production and shipments to Europe, and apparently they've already done this past January in the US. You guys gotta remember the PSP, launched back in 2005, sold over 80 million units. It was Sony's first entry into handheld systems. Granted, it was overshadowed by the DS, which sold close to 150 million units. I think over that. PSP still sold well. It still made Sony money. I loved that system. I loved it a lot. But it is nice to see that Sony supported the hardware, at least, you know, shipping it, manufacturing it, releasing it, let people make games for it for close to 10 years. Now, of course, software definitely really took a drop off in terms of software support. Like, that really fell off like a few years back now. But I still like that system a lot. It was a shame that it didn't get more support, and it had a huge piracy issue, but I love the PSP a lot, so RIP, buddy. So this past week it was rumored and then confirmed by Sony themselves that they will be releasing a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita Ultimate Player Edition bundle. Now this first popped up on Amazon France as a little rumor listing. It had a listing price of 580 euros, which isn't actually much savings if you're just going to buy the two separately. But then one Twitter user, Wario64, tweeted out a picture of a Best Buy flyer which showed it also coming to the USA, and it showed a listing price of $560, which is actually a $40 savings, which also comes with Borderlands 2, which is actually a really damn good value. But we've been talking about this for a while now. This bundle has been rumored for a while that Sony should put PS4 and Vita together. If you have that value proposition and, you know, somebody owns a PS3 and doesn't own either of these systems, it might be such an easy why not sort of scenario to go out and buy both of them in one package. And some retailers have done soft bundles where they'll sell both of them to you for one price, but really when it gets shipped to you, you still get two separate boxes. This appears to be both put in the same box for a hard bundle from Sony. And Sony did confirm to Eurogamer that they will be announcing where this is going to be going and prices and all those good details. I'm going to assume this was going to be in their E3 press conference, but cat's out of the bag for that one. So this past week on Twitter, one game store in England tweeted about The Last of Us Remastered getting a release date for June 13th, which is coming up quite soon, right around E3. And the tweet was quickly pulled. Game then apologized in a later tweet saying we got the dates mixed up. And then Sony followed up to multiple news outlets saying that we have no announcement just yet, but the game is still due for the summer. So we really don't know what happened there. What I'm going to assume, and what many others are going to assume, is that that was another one of Sony's little E3 conference surprise springs on you, like, hey, and the game's coming out June 13th, so go pick it up. There was also a picture clearly showing that it says June 13th, but even if that's not the date, you know, the window's summer anyway, so the game can't be that far off. So whether that is the right date or not, you can expect this game soon anyway. Moving on, let's talk about some updates. PlayStation 4 got firmware update 1.71, so if you've been having some error codes on 1.70, running into some issues, hopefully 1.71 fixes that because it has some gosh darn awful software stability inside of it. And if you've been messing around with Sony's SHAREfactory app on the PS4, that is also going to get updated with a few tweaks and tools and fade in, fade outs for music. It has some new transitions, fixes a few bugs, but it's nice to see that they're also refining that application a little bit, not just putting it out there once and never touching it again for 8 years like some apps on the PS3. Okay, let's move on to some game announcements. Have you heard of Loadout? This game came out for PC not too long ago, and now it's coming to PlayStation 4. It's a free-to-play online shooter. Loadout's a pretty interesting game because it's very gory, and it's got support for full-on twerking for all the character classes and everything. It's actually a really funny game, so it's cool to see that it's coming to PlayStation 4, and we're, you know, that trend of PC games having an easy port job over to PS4, it's glad to see that that's still continuing. And this past week actually announced a few hours after Let's Talk PlayStation last week that Telltale is bringing The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us to PS4 and X1. Again, continuing that trend of bringing games over from last gen to this gen. Easy port job, easy money. And also coming to PS4 is Terraria, coming from PS3 and Vita, and hell, that game's on every platform, so it makes sense to bring it over to PS4. Okay, so as we all know, E3 is very, very, very soon. In fact, this is the last Let's Talk PlayStation until E3, and Sony's press conference is this Monday, so I thought, naturally, I will predict what we might be seeing at Sony's conference. Now, I won't list off, like, direct predictions of what I expect to happen, but I'll give you a general idea of at least what I expect to happen, and my, again, my general knowledge of Sony and the company and how they operate and what like I said, I'll give you my educated guess of what we should expect. Now, to start it off, I think the whole internet has a lot of high expectations for Sony's show, and that's certainly justified. You want to justify your PS4 purchase, or you want to justify owning a PS4 in the future, so I totally get that, but I think it's kind of borderlining, like, unrealistic expectations. People are kind of, hoping this conference is just going to give them the world. They're going to, like, Sony's going to go up on stage and announce exclusive, this, that, when realistically that's not going to happen. Much like Sony has demonstrated in the past year, I think for sure we're going to see some indie showcase. Indies are going to get some stage time, whether you like it or not. They're going to be up there. They're going to get a little bit of showtime. Third parties always have a huge role in Sony's conferences. In fact, Ubisoft has a really good relationship with Sony. More often than not, Ubisoft is always at Sony's conference to announce show off some footage of the new Assassin's Creed, or get the new whatever the hell they're working on or publishing, right? So I don't know what specific title they would show if they do show up at Sony's conference, but I would guess that Ubisoft might show up, but you should expect third parties to be there to show games that we already know about. While Ubisoft or any third party is at Sony's conference, I expect them to announce some sort of exclusive mission, exclusive skin, exclusive DLC, whatever, which I wouldn't be too excited about anyway, because it's not going to stay exclusive. Those missions usually just are timed exclusive and they go to X1 and PC or whatever, so that really doesn't matter. In terms of Sony's first party, I expect us to see more stuff that we already know about than stuff we don't know about. So you should expect Drive Club to get some stage time, The Order 1886 to get some stage time. Now granted, these games aren't out yet, and it's great to see more of them, but I know that kind of bums people out when games that we already know about get stage time, because then it's like, we know about The Order, we know about Drive Club, because people want to see more game announcements. But those two games are going to get some stage time. I think at this point, for sure, we know Uncharted 4 is going to get shown. We're going to see some gameplay. Now that's, we know Uncharted 4 exists, but I think a lot of people are certainly looking forward to that. And I am too. We want to see what the game actually looks like. So I think we are expecting that to be there. Now, in regards to Sony's other first-party developers, we've talked about this a billion times before. Sony owns 12 developers. That's 12 exclusive PlayStation 4 games. You're at least guaranteed AAA titles. But are we going to see most of them here? Probably not. Now, it's worth mentioning Guerrilla Games and Media Molecule have already confirmed that they won't be at E3 this year. Now, you shouldn't believe them by any stretch of the imagination. You never should, because they don't want to ruin their surprises. But I pretty much would say that, yeah, they're not going to be at this show anyway. I think one thing people aren't getting is that games take a long time to make. Years and years to make for these AAA big budget titles. And 2014 is looking pretty bleak. A lot of games are getting delayed into 2015. And, part of that is because developers and publishers will put a lot of pressure on themselves to show you games up front, get pre-release hype going and all that. But, they do take a long time to make. And it's the same thing for Sony's developers. They need time to make these games. PS4 is only not even a year old yet, and people still are not getting that. You log on the internet every day and you see everybody bitch about the PS4 not having a crap load of games to play. And it seems like everyone keeps forgetting that this happens every single console generation. The first year, sometimes the first 2 years, are not filled with that many games. It happens with every system, and people still seem to forget that. So what I'm saying is, at this E3, I wouldn't expect Sony to reveal 6 AAA PS4 exclusives to you, especially since the reason why they have all those developers is to spread out all their titles throughout the console's lifecycle. That's why when the PS3 back in 2008 started to see a steady release of AAA exclusives for upwards to the end of its life cycle, which it's not even dead yet. It's still being sold, still being manufactured, but Sony just released how many exclusives for PS3 just last year. That's how they operate. So they're not going to announce that many that soon. My guess is that you're going to be underwhelmed at this year's E3, but 2015 is when you're going to see a steady release and announcement of Sony's first-party games. Now, that's not to say I don't expect any surprises at E3, but I think the problem is Sony got a lot of their surprises kind of leaked, more or less. I think we might be seeing Project Beast. We've seen video at this point of the game running. that rumored game from Software in conjunction with Sony Japan Studio, which would mean that it's a PS4 exclusive. I think we'll probably see that there. They wanted that to be their big surprise, but the cat's out of the bag on that one. Is there anything else I'm missing? Project Morpheus. Maybe they'll do some stage time for Project Morpheus. We need to see more of that hardware, right? I wouldn't expect a price or anything crazy like that, but they'll probably do a demonstration. They might have it on the show floor. Maybe PS3 and PS Vita price cut. Both those systems are probably due for one. So quick summary, you're going to see indies, you're going to see third party, probably exclusive missions for third party games. Sony will show you games that we already know about from their first party. You may get a surprise or two that was already kind of leaked. Maybe Project Morpheus. That is kind of in a nutshell what I expect out of the show. Don't get me wrong, I would love to be proven wrong and for Sony to blow our minds with a crap load of surprise announcements, but I just don't expect that. Okay, that about does it for me on this episode of LTPS. Hey, I just reviewed the Sly Cooper collection on PlayStation Vita. Check out that review. And so yeah, Sony's conference is this Monday. Now, if you're new to this channel or you don't know, every E3 I do a video right after Sony's conference, kind of covering every announcement that was there, and then my impressions of the show. So you will expect a video Monday right after Sony's conference. So that's about it. I will see you guys Monday after Sony's press conference. I'm still super excited. I hope you're super excited. And oh boy, man, let's talk about it come Monday. But that concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you so much for talking with me, and I'll see you guys all on Monday.